Yes. Hello, 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 everyone. Um,
Hello.
hear me? Yeah, great. How was the quiz?
The way it is, somehow though, heartbreaking.
It's
Yeah,
heartbreak.
safe over 25. Yeah,
Again, you know what? 8 over 25.
safe over 25. Yeah,
8.
yeah the way it is, hey, abba. And then the time, no, no. And then the next week,
Yeah,
we found it difficult.
it was difficult.
Yeah,
Oh, have you read the handout? I gave out the handouts, the lecture material.
yeah, that's why we were able to have, otherwise I would have, it's very,
Yeah, let's wait for people.
yeah.
So please,
Yes,
It's
sir.
difficult, it's difficult,
Yeah,
it's
you see, it's
difficult.
our first time, so we didn't know the procedure.
Say it's difficult, it's difficult, it's difficult.
So please, let's do it again.
this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do everybody. If you want to talk, just raise your hand so that we don't have people, talking. Just raise your hand. I'll give you the chance. Let's use the next 5 minutes to talk about the quiz. Then we'll continue. Let's wait for the other colleagues. Invite them, let them come so we complete chapter 1. Yes, can we hear you? You can unmute yourself now. Yes, Gaddafi.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, I want to find out how is the grading done. Is it the total marks you got out of the total questions?
Yeah, there were 25 questions.
Yes, sir.
So if you saw your mark to be 8, then it means you had 8 over 25.
Okay.
I'm going to show you something on the screen. It's okay. I think, let me show you on the screen. Now, I intentionally made it 2 attempts to explain certain things to you. So let me share my screen. All right, so I just shared my screen. It's loaded. Let's give it some few minutes. All right, so I think it should be up. All right, so on the screen, you can see, well, I made the attempts 2 times. Ideally, doing most times in the exams and the quizzes that you'll be holding, it will just be one time, one attempt. The attempt tells you the number of times you can take the quiz. So if it is 2 attempts, it means after taking it, you can take it again. And I will take the best out of the attempt. But the subsequent quizzes that we're going to hold is going to be just 1 attempt. Now, I wanted to use this opportunity to know the number of people or students that would take up the quiz. That is why in fact, the quiz 1, I'm not going to use it for anything. I just want to let you have an idea how the quizzes will be done on the video. So yes, and the good thing is you have one individual here, Selby. Selby had the highest mark. He had 22. Oh, the other Selby and Asamoah and Gerald. They had 22 over 25, which is good. Others too did well. Okay. Now, virtually for every chapter we hold, we will have a quiz. But chapter 1, we'll have another quiz on chapter 1. But the first one that you have seen, which is quiz 1, I am not going to use it for anything. I just want you to have an idea what it is. Somebody is asking me, Group B. Where will Group B? The quiz is for all of you, not Group A, not Group B, not Group C or D. It's for everyone. So we'll have another quiz, God willing, next week. Possibly 15 minutes before we start the lecture from 8 to 10. They had a little technical issue. That is why it delayed a little. So please, God willing, next week, we will have our main quiz 1, which is on chapter 1. By then, I will be done with this particular chapter. I expect you read the handouts, go through it thoroughly, and get ready for quiz 1, the main quiz next week. This is just a trial quiz. Are we okay? Are we all comfortable with what I just said?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
No?
Yes.
No, sir.
Okay. The person who says no, can you?
Sir, we are comfortable.
Hello?
Hello, sir.
Somebody said no. May I know what your name is?
Hi, sir. Sir, we are comfortable.
All right, so I'm not going to use this one, okay? But we will take another quiz again. And this time round, we expect you to prepare very well for that. This is just to have an idea how the quizzes will be done. All right. So for every chapter, we will hold the quiz. Have that in mind. So God willing, next week, we will hold the quiz. I'm going to mute everyone. Yeah, there is lots of feedback. If you have a question, just put it on the question page or just raise your hand and I will give you the chance to talk. All right, so now let's continue with today's activity. So Selby and Gerald, well done. That's kudos to you. That's a good job done. All right. Let's do today's activity. Daniel B, yeah, this quiz, I'm not going to use it for anything. I just wanted to prepare your mind for chapter 1 quiz again. Just get yourself ready. Next week, we will hold another quiz. Yeah, in fact, most of the quizzes that we hold will be on Thursday, between the hours of 8 and 9. So God willing, next week, Thursday, we will have another quiz on chapter 1. All right, so now let's continue. If you recall, I believe you can see my screen. So if you can see my screen, just type yes so I can continue. Anyone, great. Thank you, Ray. All right, now let's continue. Great. Priscilla, thank you. So let's continue with what we did the last time. If you recall, I told you anytime we talk about computers, we think about the size and also what is going to be useful. And we started with the first one, which is the microcomputer. And these were examples of what microcomputer looks like. And I also gave you an example of what we can use microcomputers for. And I remember also telling you that microcomputers relatively is cheaper than the other types of computers. So these are the other types of computers. So there are four main types of computers. We have the microcomputer, the mini computer, the mainframe computer, and the supercomputer. Now, this is also being recorded. I'll put it up on the VLE or the YouTube channel. Some of you, those of you that are interested can subscribe to the channel. It's not only introduction to computing that I teach there. There are other courses that I teach. So at your leisure, if you want to also learn maybe some programming or website design or some few other things, you can subscribe so that you would get to have some of the videos anytime I put it up there. But for this, which is mine, an introduction to computing, I'm still going to load up this particular recording online. So you would also go through it anytime. You probably miss a lecture or something, but try to always come for class. Actually, we have less than 120 students in class right now. I'm believing subsequently you'll be coming to class. Yeah, so we finished with the microcomputer, which is this one. Now let's talk about the mini computer. I mentioned what a thin client computing is, and that is how it looks. Physically, that is how it is. And these are some of the things that we use microcomputers for, and that's are the ones that have been highlighted in here. Word processing, home entertainment, that is watching movies, home banking, browsing, printing, basic stuff, gaming, they are all part of some of the uses that we can use microcomputers for. Now let's talk about the next one, which is the mainframe computer. Sorry, the mini computer. Now, anytime we talk of the mini computer, you know, the types of computers, I keep telling you, anytime you think about the type, you should look out for its use, you know, the use and the size as help us know the type of computer that we are dealing with. So the next one, which is bigger than the microcomputer, is a mini computer. So from here, you can see mini computers moderately, they are moderate in size, and they are sometimes also called mid-range computer. So in a quiz or an exam, if you are told that, give me an example of a mid-range computer, you should know what a mid-range computer is. It's the same as a mini computer. Now, they are used when a desktop computer is powerful enough to do some type of job. The personal computers or the microcomputers that we use, most of the time, they are not so powerful to do certain things for us. If you recall, I said, those of you who checked out the UMaT's website or the YouTube session for UMaT, there is a virtual reality or virtual campus tour, which is online. That one was done by a student some years back, and he couldn't process it on his, he had to put things together and render it by rendering, as in put things together to be able to come out with a virtual tour. Unfortunately, his computer was good enough or powerful enough, so we had to resort to a server at the ICT unit, which was good enough for us to do the rendering. And the rendering took about 3 days. So there are times microcomputers will not be able to do certain things. So we would need a computer which is powerful than the microcomputers. And the next computer is the mini computer. So they are powerful enough to do certain tasks that the microcomputers can do, which is our personal computer. So they can be used by more than one person. If you recall, with a microcomputer, it's an individual computer. One person uses it at a time. But with a mini computer, we can have 2 or more people using it, or one people using it at any point in time. It is used to accomplish specific tasks such as process control and for specific and engineering application. So there are certain software that you can't run on your computer. You need a robust computer that is powerful enough to help you run. And that is where the mini computer comes into play. Also called the minis. So the mini computer, sometimes we also call it minis. So mini computer is called the mid-range. Sometimes too is also called the minis. These are examples of the mini computers. We have the IBM36, HP 9000, they are all examples of the minis or mid-range computer. So on the right side, you see some of the mid-range computers. So most of the servers are the ICT units. We classify them as a mini computer because they are robust and powerful enough, powerful than the normal computers that you have in the computer lab. So this is also an example of a mini computer. Now, computing power lies between microprocessor, microcomputer, and the main. Of course, the power of the computer, determines the kind of activity that. So, how powerful a computer is will determine what it can do. So, looking at these are some of the things that the mini could look like. Now, in terms of its use, normally we have the mini computers being used as control automated teller machine. So for instance, as we have lots of people using such computer at a go, as I said, for mini computers, the ATM machines that we normally see at the ATM, kiosk, most of them are mini computers. And the reason is it's supposed to help save lots of people at a go, And I showed you an example of how it looks like. These are how they are powerful enough. Of course, there are times we can have, because technology keeps advancing, there are times you can have microcomputer being able to perform some tasks just like mini computer. But usually the mini computers also have it in mind that these are computers that are always powered on 24/7. They are always on. An example are the ones that we have at the ICT unit. The VLE that you use to take your exams or the quiz right now, today, it is running on a mini computer. And the idea, that is how come about over 200 students were able to access the VLE at a go, they were able to access the VLE at a go and take the quiz at the same time. So you can imagine more than one person having access to the VLE and taking an exam at the same time. And this is an example of what you just did in the quiz that you just had. So the VLE is running on a mini computer, which is located at the ICT unit. So there are specific computers or specific tasks that we can use to do certain things when it comes to mini computer. So the control of the automated teller machine, which is the ATM, the virtual learning environments, which we have on campus, their payroll system. So for instance, on campus too, there is a server on campus that is used to generate pay slip, payroll, and things relating to salary and invoicing and all of that. So that is also a server, which is also a mini computer. Hospital patient registration. Those of you that have visited the OPD at the hospital, now in Ghana, we had before each hospital would have their individual server that would serve all the patients in the hospital. So you go to a hospital, then you register at the OPD. And now at the OPD, they take your details and all your records in there. Now, those of you that have been going to, hospital, you can attest to the fact that if you are in Kolebu, if you come to Takwa, maybe government hospital, the card that you use in Kolebu, when you went to the hospital at Kolebu, you can still use the same card because they have a central server, which could be a mini computer to serve the whole of Ghana. I said could be a mini computer. Of course, I don't know how robust it is, but it could be a mini computer which is serving the whole of Ghana. But I'm believing it's not a mini computer, but I'm just using it as an example. So most of the hospitals are using this type of mini computers for serving their patients. And now most of the things that the doctors write, they type it on a computer, on their personal computer, which is a microcomputer. Then the information is sent over the network to the computer, which is stationed at maybe the network operating center of the hospital. So now, anytime you go to the hospital, the doctor who takes care of you is able to have records of, your health record. The last time you were at the hospital, what happened to you, the malaria that you had. They are able to keep track of all of this because the information is now being stored possibly on a mini computer located somewhere at either the hospital, somewhere at a remote environment somewhere, maybe Accra. I'm saying that it could be a mini computer because as we move along, you get to know that, of course, it gets to a point the mini computer will not be robust enough to handle so many people. So there's supposed to be a special type of computer that will be able to do that. But for an institution like UMAT, what we normally run is a mini computer. All right. So inventory control for supermarkets. So if you go to the supermarkets like Bransmet, I'm sure most of you have visited Bransmet now. When you pick, you pick maybe a tin of milk, a tin of Milo, all those things that you buy at the supermarket. At the end of the day, the stock, the things that you bought, when you give it to the teller at the counter, able to tell you how much it costs. So all those information about the food stuff or things inside the supermarket have been saved somewhere in on a mini computer in the supermarket, or maybe somewhere in the network operating center. So that is how these are some of the examples of the uses of the mini computer. Insurance claim processing, yes. If your car, you have an insurance issue, your car, they are able to, irrespective of wherever you are, you're able to claim your insurance. Small banks, accounting, customer detail tracking, and all of that. Like the microfinance, we also have mini computers serving their customers. So that is about mini computers. Always bear in mind that when you're talking about types of computer, as the uses and the size, its use and size will determine the type of computer that it is. So now, these are advantages of the mini computer and also the disadvantage, of course. For the first advantage, the mini computer is able to cater for multiple users. So just like the ATM, you can have so many people, accessing it. And just like the virtual learning environment too, we can also have people having access to it to take a quiz or take a lecture. Low cost than the mainframe. So stepwise, after mini computer, the next type of computer is the mainframe. So that should tell you that the mini computer is less expensive than the mainframe. And of course, the microcomputer, which we've already talked about, is also less expensive than the mini computer. So in terms of disadvantage, These are the disadvantage. For Minicomputer, they are large. You could see that they were quite big. So per the microcomputer that we have, my laptop, for instance, I can just pick it, put it under my armpit and go for a lecture or go home. But with Minicomputers, you can't just pick it and work with it. It is big, it's bulky. So that is one disadvantage about microcomputer. And that is a major reason why these servers are supposed to be situated in a server room or a network operations center and always powered on 24/7 because people will access it at any point in time. When it is 12 midnight, whilst most of us are sleeping, you can still access the VLE. It's supposed to serve you 24/7. So that is how computers, those are the advantages of mini computers. Now let's talk about the second one, which is the third one, which is the mainframe computer. So per size, it is bigger than the micro and the mini or the minis or the mid-range. So it is also known as enterprise servers. So anytime you hear of enterprise servers, we're talking about the mainframe computer. So they are large computers with fast processing speed and can process billions of data per second. So you see how there's an example of how the mainframe computer looks like. Some banks in Ghana do use mainframe computer, of course. Compared to the mini, bigger than the mini computer. We can have so many of the mini computer coming together to form a mainframe computer. And technically, there are things that you can do to, put all these mainframe computers together to serve as one entity. And we term that as virtualization. So you can have about, let's say 50 mainframe computers that is virtualized or put together as one, to do some robust kind of function. And as you can see from here, the mainframe computers are able to process billions of data per second. So that should tell you that when a task is given to it, it's able to process it as quickly as possible. Several people can use one mainframe computer at a time. Used by large enterprises running applications like university students, information system, corporate payroll system, and airline reservation system. You can see it talked about university student information system, like your student portal, or the virtual learning. So depending on the number of people that will have to have access to it, we can combine so many of these mainframe computers, virtualize it in a way that would be possible to have huge number of students or clients coming to it at a particular point in time. So that is how the mainframe computer looks like. And these are the places that we can put, we can have these type of mainframes. Of course, they are very big and they are put in what we call racks. It's not like the individual mini computer that I showed you one by one. We can have so many of these put together to form one complete. So this one, this computer can be arranged inside this device. Can be arranged inside this device so many times. So we can have about 10 of those mini computers put together in here and put together, and the resources that each of them have can be merged together, a process called virtualization. We have some virtualized servers at the ICT unit. I think there are about three of the mini computers put together, to serve as one entity. Those that are interested, I'm sure you have the chance to see ICT unit once in a while, and I'm sure you will see all those in there. And during your practical session, I'm sure the TA would probably show you something, not mini per se, but something small, but for you to have a feel of how the mainframe computers might look like. All right, so banks, educational institutions, and insurance company use mainframe computers to store data. That is the whole idea. Now, areas where mainframes are used, I said mainframe computers are also termed as enterprise servers. So please have that in mind. Mini computers are termed as minis or mid-range computers. So areas where mainframe computers are used are what has been specified here: banks, big banks, big universities, large gas and oil exploration companies, space vehicle control, weather forecast, animated cartoons. Yes, I talked about the virtual environments that we have for UMass. You need to have, a very powerful computer to do the rendering, to put all these pictures together for us to, make it look more animated and make it look more beautiful. Some mainframes are designed to be extremely fast and are called supercomputers. It is used for building, for space launching, and also monitoring and control. Of course, that is what we talk about. So this is still an example of how a mainframe computer would look like. Those of you who have watched, is it 24? Yes, you see this at the CPU, you are able to, those technical people are able to delve in there, pull a monitor and be typing and doing other things. So these are examples of mainframe computers. So the advantages and disadvantages are what is specified in here. For the advantages, these mainframe computers have very large memory. Their memory is big, not like the RAM. It's big enough to, store or process data at this billion, kind of records in the smallest possible time. They also support many users and instructions. So things that your microcomputer, which is a personal computer, can do, and also the mid-range computer also can perform, the mainframe computer is capable of performing. And for the disadvantage, these are huge size, they are huge in size, and they are very expensive. Of course, a server is very expensive, just a server, which is the mini computer that I showed. Why is that the ICT unit has? Very expensive. So not to talk about mainframe computers. So that tells those ones are very expensive. That is how come it's large organizations that usually go in for such computers to be able to serve this huge number of people. All right, so that is about the mainframe computer. Now, the next one after the mainframe is the supercomputer. And of course, by the type of computer is by the usage and also the size. So computer built to minimize distance between points for very fast operations. It is used for extremely complicated computations. So supercomputers are faster than mainframe computers, and they are more expensive than mainframe computers. So the most powerful computers in terms of performance and data processing is the supercomputers. And this is how the supercomputers looks like. We can say maybe Facebook, Google, these huge organizations, because they are serving the world, have supercomputers. Because just imagine the number of people that have accounts on Facebook, billions of people. So they should have a supercomputer that will be able to serve this huge number of people. And those of you who are aware of the new AI that has been circulating and that is being talked about now, which is the Chat GPT. And those of you that have used it, you can attest to the fact that at a point, when you use it at a point, it tells you, the server is down and trying to do things to bring it back again because so many people are, making requests on the Chat GPT platform. So that gives them the chance to keep upgrading their servers or keep upgrading their computers just to be able to, process the data that is coming in. So at this point, I can confidently say that Chat GPT is running on a supercomputer. I think now they've rolled out different versions of the Chat GPT, the free type and also free type. So from the beginning, they were taking data, they were looking out for ways to process this data and questions from people and also do certain things. So now I'm very confident, they've put all these information, that they have on a supercomputer can help in the processing of the information. And of course, such computers are very powerful to perform such processes. So we can have millions of people, asking a question at the same time, and these computers, which are powerful enough, are able to serve all of us with the right answers within the shortest possible time. Now, supercomputers are also used in space exploration. NASA, when they go to the space and do certain things, they also use supercomputer to be able to do the computation and the processing of some of the data that they do get. Earthquake study, weather forecasting, nuclear research, and advanced physics. So somebody asked, can mainframe computers be used to play video games? Yes, but of course, if you can use your microcomputer to play video games, which is the microcomputer is, compared to the mainframe, if your microcomputer is able to do that, that should tell you the mainframe computer can even do way better. So our gentleman who asked the question, Godfred, yes. Eugene, thank you for the answer. So that is great. So that should tell you that, mainframe computers are so powerful, but supercomputers are super powerful than the others. So supercomputers consist of several computers that work together in parallel as a single system. So just like the mainframe computers I talked about, we can have mini computers stacked together, virtualized as one entity to perform a task. The same way, the mainframe supercomputers can also be several of these mainframe computers put together, virtualized. In terms of size, they are bigger than the mainframe computers. Virtualized and put together, possibly in a rack, to perform certain tasks. Yeah, Bernard, I think if you can, write your question in the chat so I will try and read it. Yeah, so that is about the mainframe. I want to finish the slide before it is 10 o'clock. So you can write your question. I will try and answer it, Bernard. All right. So moving on, we can have. So in terms of advantages, supercomputers are super fast. They are very, very fast. They're able to do these computations as something that probably mainframe computer will take maybe 2 days to do. A supercomputer probably can take maybe 50 minutes. And in terms of size, supercomputer is bigger than a mainframe computer. The disadvantage is they're able to generate large amounts of heat during operations. So those of you who have had a chance to visit MTN or any of our telcos, I can't say they are using supercomputers because I'm certain they are using it. If you have had a chance to go to their network operation center or their data center, you realize that, there are so many air conditions blowing cold air in the from grounds up, pushing warm air up. Warm air are heavier than lighter than cold air. So cold air keeps blowing, Immediately you enter MTN data center or network operating center, data center actually. The place is very chilly. The air conditioning is blowing at incredible, temperature, which is very low. So most of these network operating centers always have air conditions, over the servers. While the service is running 24/7, it keeps generating heat. So if supercomputer is doing complex computations at its smallest possible time, you can imagine the amount of heat that it will produce. So you need to have powerful air conditions, not the ones we have in our offices. Powerful air conditioning to be picking up these heat and dissipating it outside to make it not hot and make it easier for them to do the computations. Now let's talk about computer systems. Some of you have already started with operating system with a TA. I think right after this class, the D parts are supposed to meet in the computer lab to talk about operating system. The TA will help you out. I'll be there briefly. So let's talk about computer systems. So a computer system consists of three main units. Anytime we talk about computer systems, have these in mind. Three main units. We have the input unit, the processor unit, and the processing unit, and the output unit. The input unit is able to accept data. The processing unit processes that data by performing some sort of calculation and also comparison operations on the data that it receives. And again, the output unit presents the results of the data that has been processed. So that is about the computer system. Have this in mind. There are three primary units of a computer system: input unit, processing unit, and also output unit. Now looking at this, these are how the computer systems really look like. So we have our input units putting in information into the computer and being processed by the processor, and also displaying the results either on the screen for us, store it on the computer, or maybe on a printout. So can either display the information on the computer for us to see when it processes it, or it can print it out. Yeah, what about the storage part? Yes, we will talk about that. But you should have in the storage parts we normally put it, not necessarily fuse it with the processing units, but we will talk about it. That is something. Yes, but have these three in mind: input, output, and processing. The storage usually, of course, is stored on the hard disk, and the processing is picked from the storage, and all those things do happen in there. All right, so the input units, so data are facts, numbers, and also characters that are entered into the computer via the keyboard. And those of you writing on the screen, we are not supposed to write on the screen, so I don't know why we want to explore that to write on the screen. Please desist from that. When you keep doing that, at the end of the day, the video that I'll give you will have all those things in there. Wouldn't it be nice? Okay. All right, so the data that we normally say is put in a computer. It could be facts, it could be numbers, it could be characters. And all these are entered through the keyboard. There are certain ways to also input data into the system. And you should be mindful that the computer does not have anything apart from zeros and ones. So apart from zeros and ones. So everything that goes into it needs to be converted into zeros and ones. You get to appreciate it in the lab. So other types of input devices are mouse, joystick, light, pen, scanner, camera. These are things that we can put, that has data that we can put into the computer. That is how come they are called input devices. So these are examples. Those of you who have been playing games, joystick, FIFA, that's how joysticks look like. We have the printer and also a camera. This is an example of an old camera. So still on that, so we have the computer input devices, and these are examples of the input devices as I talked about. Output devices, after processing has been done, there needs to be outputs for other people to also see, either via a printout, as you can see here, or on the monitor. So the data has been processed, the results are input into the form of useful information. The output units such as the monitor and the printer makes the results accessible to people like us, humans. So computer output devices, these are examples: monitors, speakers, modems, printers. A modem is termed as an input and also I would want you to find out why a modem is sometimes called an input device or an output device. Okay, these are also input-output devices. So keyboard, mouse, digitizer, most of our phones do have, a digitizer in there. That is how come you're able to touch, an icon on your phone or WhatsApp on your phone. You are sending analog signals from your fingertips onto the phone. It's converted to a digital signal. That is where the digitizer picks up information, picks the analog signals, converts into a digitized data which is acceptable by the phone or the computer or touch screen, those touch screen computer. This is how a digitizer looks like. We have the processing units in here. These are also input-output devices. Plotter, those that have been printing big banners. A plotter is also an output device because it does printing. So this is an output device. So these are examples. I just wanted you to have an idea of some of these. So the processor unit, we have the CPU, the mainframe, the mini. I think I wouldn't want to rush you into this, so I'm quickly end here. We still have some slides to talk about, so that is almost 10 o'clock. So we'll continue this next week, God willing. I'll try and bring out, I'll try. Class rep, if you can get me maybe 1 hour today, tomorrow, I can complete this one. So you can think about it. If you can just get me. Thank you very much. Let's end here. And whilst the other class gets ready for articles. Thank you very much. What is the value of RAM in supercomputers? Your question, don't understand it much. Have that in mind. Let's talk about it when we meet again. So I'm hoping the class rep will organize just a 1 hour period for me today or tomorrow so that I can meet you to complete this exercise. Thank you very much. Let's meet in our practical session. Have a good morning.
As I do. Is it long with the way? Maybe I'm fucking bad.
Ano sa o kasa woman dia? Munjai de no. Ano po dia?